MonoNeon, he's another one. I never met him. I don't know
Right.
him, but I really dig his stuff too, man. He's a new artist, and he's got some great funky stuff out.
Yeah,
That's
one
another.
of Prince's last collaborators.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I was just telling my wife that the other night. Yeah, he's the last one of the last ones that Prince worked with before he left.
Right.
So yeah, he's a bad dude. He's a
Yeah.
bad dude.
My next guest here on Musicians Reveal is a man who hosts an incredible show. I've been following him for many, many years. Even stole a few of his musical suggestions on the show because he's got such great taste in funk, R&B, hip hop. Funkclone Radio on Mixcloud, and also he is a funk music documentarian, and he also has another station, Wrap It Up. He is
Wrap
out
up.
of Wrap Up. I'm sorry. There he goes. Wrap Up. His name is Paul Altamirano. Finally, great to have Paul on the show. How you doing, Paul?
Good, Joe, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this. Thank you. Feeling good.
Yeah. Yeah. So Funkclone Radio going strong. How many years have you been doing it exactly?
It'll be 5 years this coming February. So I started putting together the shows literally right before the pandemic hit. It was just coincidental that it came right as I started doing the first few shows. So
Okay.
yeah, the end of February is when I put up the first show.
Yeah. And what was the choice on Mixcloud? Yeah, right.
I was told by some fellow colleagues that Mixcloud was really flexible as far as copyright issues and things like that. That I didn't want to have any issues with playing other people's music, and I just wanted to. I didn't want any trouble with things like that, with any royalties or anything copyright issues.
Yeah, they pay for it in the fee you pay to them, so that's cool.
Pretty much, yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used to do Live 365, and for some reason, yeah, we got on Mixcloud, but we're nowhere near the level of Funkclone Radio and Paul. You do it right. Yeah.
I tried, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So if people can go Mixcloud, Funkclone Radio, you release your episodes on Friday like regular, right?
I try to promote every week.
Mhm.
Most of the time on Fridays. I call them Funky Fridays.
Right.
And I just try to keep it going and keep it in people's minds, so people don't forget about Funkclone Radio and just keep it going that way. Yeah, so every Friday I try to promote.
Right. I like how you actually have the huge support from the artists that you play. I mean, you could see the people who like your posts and are into it. What have you found from artists, their response to your show? It's got to feel good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've so far it's been all very positive, just like thanking me and just they like how I put the shows together, and just they dig what I do, and they they keep saying just keep it going,
Yeah.
whatever happens, just keep it going, just keep it going. So that's what I'm doing.
Not too many outlets. I mean, you probably have the old school R&B station out your way, and we've got them on the East Coast. But you're playing music from artists who not necessarily, they might have been big stars back in the day, but their new stuff they can't get on those stations. So that's where you come in.
Right, and
Yeah.
I'm showcasing a lot of new artists that, believe it or not, there's new artists, funk artists out there that are doing it. They're putting out new music. It's brand new funk music, and it's obviously not getting heard on the radio stations. Not here in LA for sure. I don't know about
Right.
other places in the world, and it's stuff that deserves to be heard, and it's really good. And it's a shame that it doesn't get more. It doesn't get played more and more exposure. But I'm doing my part. I'm doing what I can to help out in that area. So,
Who are some of the bands or singers off the top of your head, that the newer ones that have really impressed you?
well, there's one cat named Saul. He's
Okay.
in England. He's originally from Romania, And
Okay.
from what I understand, he lived here in the United States for a while, and then he moved to England, I guess around the pandemic time. But this guy has been doing, he's been putting out music for the last 12, 13 years, from what I understand, so 2011. And he's got like 8 or 9 albums under his belt, and great music. He's one to really look out for. Um, Another one is a guy named Sean Bivens, and he's got a band called the Blackstone Funk Revival. He's up in
Mhm.
the Bay Area. He's got some really good stuff. Um, let's see. Another guy that I've really gotten into, his name is Tristan Thompson. He's got a band called Diamond Cafe, and I really dig his stuff. He's really good. And then one of my friends and partner, his name is John Dixon, and he has a band called Digital Soul, and
Spelled with a
he
DY,
actually
right?
is the host. What's that?
It's spelled
Yeah,
DY, right?
DYG
Yeah. Right.
DY, yes. And he's actually the voice you hear on Funkclone Radio. He is the voice. He's the one that pretty much you hear introducing the shows. Um, and he's got his thing called Digital Soul, and he's got some really good stuff too. And off the top of my head, those are the ones that come up at the top of my head right now. I know there's
Yeah.
more.
Oh yeah.
I can't.
And that's good from the top of your head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you go to discover new music, or do they hit you up, or the
Um,
mix?
John, I met at a LA Maggots party here in LA. It's a bunch of guys. They're all P-Funk guys, and they get
Mhm.
together every summer and they'll have a jam. And I DJ'd one of those parties about 5 years ago, and I met John there, and we just hit it off, and that's how I met him, and that's how he got involved with Funkle Radio, and then that's how I got introduced to his music. Saul and the Blackstone Funk Revival and Diamond Cafe were mentioned to me by friends of mine that knew about these bands. So I looked them up and I listened to them and I said, "Man, this stuff is really good." So I started taking their music and putting it up on Funkclone Radio, and they reached out to me and they started saying, "Hey." Next thing I know, I have an online relationship with them, through
Right.
Messenger and Facebook and things like that. So that's how that came about, as far as the like those bands that I mentioned. And there's others too. Again, I can't think of them right off the top of my head. MonoNeon, he's another one. I've never met him.
And
I don't know
right.
him, but I really dig his stuff too, man. He's a new artist, and he's got some great funky stuff out there.
Yeah,
That's
one
another.
of
That's
Prince's last collaborators.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I was just telling my wife that the other night. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
one of the last ones that Prince worked with before he left.
Right.
So yeah, he's a bad dude. He's a
Yeah.
bad dude. So
So
yeah.
let's go back to the Paul Altamirano days when you were growing up and finding this love for music. Where were you born in California?
Yeah, I'm from Los Angeles originally. Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of music and where did you discover the music you love?
Well, I grew up. My parents and my relatives, they played a lot of. They were all into music. There were musicians on my mother's side of the family that were horn players and piano players and all that. So I guess I kind of had the music in me already. I used to hear a lot of music, a lot of records played, things like that. I heard different types, different, everything. I heard the Beatles and Chicago and Elton John, but I also heard Isley Brothers and Stevie Wonder and Earth, Wind and Fire and Ohio players, and I heard it all, but I gravitated more towards the funk stuff. That just really hit my heart, and that's basically it. Just went from there, and then from there it just kind of snowballed into discovering P Funk and then Rick James and Prince and The Time and Cameo and blah blah blah, and then it just snowballed from there.
And you've
Yeah,
rubbed shoulders with practically everybody in those camps, whether directly the head ones or the
yeah,
members of the band, right?
and it's really an honor to like know these guys, or I've met them and kind of developed a little bit of a relationship with them, and to a point where I don't hang out with them and this and that, but when I see them, they go, "Hey, Paul, how you doing?" And to me, that's like, wow, that's really cool, these are the guys that I used to grow up looking at their pictures on the album covers and
Right.
reading their names on the liner notes, and years later for them to like recognize me when I'm coming into the room and they go like, "Hey, Paul, how you doing?" I'm like, "Wow, that's really, yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool."
Well, yeah. So I'm a couple pictures. I mean, if you go to your Facebook page, right?
Yeah,
You got a lot of Instagram too. You got
or Instagram too. Instagram's got a lot of
yeah,
pictures.
Instagram, Paul Altamirano. You see his name right there, and we'll put up links in the description when this is on YouTube and also on the outlets, the Spotify and Apple and everything. But the pictures, two of them that I gotta talk to you about made me really, really jealous. Okay, the first one was the first one I ever saw in concert, Stevie Wonder.
Oh,
Where'd you wind up hanging with Stevie Wonder?
I just met him just a few months ago at Vibratos in Bel Air, Beverly Hills in
Oh,
LA, here in
right,
LA.
right,
Herb Albert owns that place. Great place, by the way, great venue. Um, and he was there. Who was the one that used to? She sang with Prince on the MPG album in
oh, Marva
'98.
King. Marva King.
Marva King, yeah, Marva King,
Yeah,
who I got to meet that night. She was
right.
performing that night, and Stevie just walked in, and everybody just, my friends go, "Guess who's here?" And I'm like, "I don't know." My friend goes, "Stevie." I go, "Steve who?" He goes, "Stevie." I go, and he goes, "Stevie Wonder," and I look over, and there's Stevie Wonder. He's like sitting down with his entourage.
Right, right.
So to cut to the chase, later on that night, my friend, that same friend, he got in and started talking to Stevie's people and got to meet Stevie and take his picture with him. And all of a sudden, I was standing there, and he goes, "Paul too. Paul needs to meet him." So Stevie's guy goes, "Come on over." And I just go over there, and there's Stevie Wonder right there in front of me in the flesh. And I
Wow.
just said, I just leaned over and I said, I grew up on your music. You helped raise me. And he
Mhm.
just said, "Thank you, man," and put out his hand. And I shook his hand, and then we took the picture, and that's that.
Yeah,
So that
that's a
that
great
was
story, and yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
I
that
saw
I'm
him. It was
honored.
my first concert, Hotter Than July tour, and Marva was singing background, I think,
Okay,
with Stevie. Yeah, so
okay, yeah.
yeah.
He was there obviously because he was there to listen to her. Because
I thought he was here
I
because he
found
knew
out.
you were in the house.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, that was pretty
Yeah, I guess,
exciting.
and
Yeah.
then I found out later on she's actually working on a new album with him.
Oh,
So
okay.
singing background. That's what she told me. So he just happened to pop in just to check her out, her show, and listen to her show, and that's
Ah,
how that
okay.
went. Oh,
Okay, the second picture, I'm a little bit jealous of, goes even further back. Roger Troutman.
oh
Oh
yeah.
man,
I met
where?
Roger in Las Vegas. Um, I lived in Las Vegas for a year 30 years ago. I moved out there,
Okay,
and I found out that Zapp was performing at a venue which is no longer in Las Vegas anymore. I forgot the name of the club, but I found out he was performing that night. I just I got to meet him. He signed a thing for me, and we took our picture. And it was pretty quick because there was a big line of people that wanted to meet him that night. So that's it was pretty fast. And I just said, "Man, I'm so glad to meet you." And he's like, "Thank you, man." And that was basically it. So
yeah, I
seemed to be a
never had
nice
that.
guy.
Yeah, yeah. Another one of those hardworking studio guys like Prince and likes
Oh,
like that. Yeah, just phenomenal.
Roger was wow. He was just out of this world. I've seen Zapp since he's passed away,
Yeah,
and it's
me
just
too.
to
Yeah,
me, it's just not the same. Roger was like he's the one that he was the guy. You know,
right.
oh, that was a real
Yeah,
loss when he passed away. Yeah,
yeah. You hear the talk box still, but then it's not him.
right.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Roger was Roger, man. It was just
right.
he was just one of a kind. He was cut from his
Right.
own thing. So yeah,
Yeah, they've still put on a great show, but the key element is missing. But yeah, rest in peace for him. Yeah,
yeah, that's for sure. Him and his brother. It was a real
that's right.
shame.
Exactly. Yeah, with tragic stories. So let me ask you about the Minneapolis sound. We're both huge fans of the Minneapolis sound, and how did you get into that crazy, crazy world of Prince and the time? And Jill Jones and everybody else associated with Minneapolis?
Uh, uh, well, it's funny because like I first I got on the Prince train around 80, 81, 82 for the Controversy album. That's where I got on
Okay.
board.
Okay.
And I remember hearing "Let's Work" on the radio here in LA. We used to have AM radio. We used to have R&B stations here in LA on AM radio. There was KGFJ and KACE, and I don't remember which station, which one it was, but it was one of those two stations, and they played "Let's Work." And I remember going, man, I was a 13-year-old kid. I'm like, man, that's really good. So I looked it up. I went to a record store and I bought the 45 of "Let's Work," and then just didn't really know much about Prince, but I dug the song. And then a couple months later, we were at a record store, and I must have saved up my allowance money because I was able to buy the 12-inch of "Let's Work." They had it there at the record store, and now I see a picture, and it's the band, and Prince is in the front, like pointing his finger at the camera, pointing at you. And I still, and it's funny because it's like I dig the band. The band's name is Prince, but who's that cat in the front? What's his name? I'm thinking like Prince, like, okay, they named the band Prince, like Queen,
Right.
okay, something like that. So I'm thinking, okay, this band, this funk band, it's called Prince. Cool name, but man, what's the name of that dude that's in the front that's singing and who is that guy? What's his name? And then I'll find out later on, like reading interviews and stuff, that was him. I'm like, wow, that's really crazy. So that's how I got into the Prince world. And then I found out later on that he was the one behind the Time. And then it just snowballed from there. And then it was Vanity Six, and then it was Sheila E, and then it was Apollonia Six, and it just snowballed from there. And I just totally got really into it. I'm like, wow, he was really at that time in the early '80s very revolutionary. Especially in the funk genre, very
Right.
very revolutionary. And I just dug that about him. It was like, yeah, it's funky, but he's also like really like out there doing something new and different. That's what I think I dug about him at that time. Yeah.
How about the first time you saw Prince in concert?
First time I saw him was '93 for the Symbol tour, Act One tour.
Oh, okay.
And that was, yeah, it took a long time for me to see him in concert, but I finally got to see him at that point. And then I saw him about maybe 10, 11 times after that. I saw him in big arenas where, he was playing the standards that everybody knew, and it was kind of like not very close to very intimate shows where literally I saw him here in LA where I was really, he was right there. I was leaning on the stage like it was like at First
Wow.
Avenue or something. And he played for like 3.5 hours. And like, so I saw him different ways, but I saw him like that at Glam Slam in LA. Here in LA, he had a Glam Slam club. I saw him like that, very intimate. Then I saw him in another club here in Hollywood, and literally I was like right there, leaning on stage, and he was right there, playing for like 3.5 to 4 hours, and I paid like $50.
Wow. Yeah.
So you can't beat that.
No, I think the closest to an after show I got, but it was for TV, the Musicology Webster Hall. We were there in New York City.
Okay.
So yeah, that was cool. He did a bunch more songs than you see in the edited version, but I haven't seen
Right.
Somebody's got them, but they haven't surfaced.
Yeah, they're in the vault, right?
Yeah. I've actually got a few of my radio shows in the vault. Well, I don't know if they've gone through them, but
Really?
he requested copies of our radio show, and I had to FedEx him to Paisley Park and stuff. Yeah, that was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, so they were in the vault, I'm sure, but I don't think it's a priority to have those released for the estate. But
Well,
yeah,
you never know down the future. They're going to probably pop up somewhere.
yeah, it's back when we were doing the Prince of Minneapolis special. I'll tell you a quick story, and we'll get back to your concert experience. But do you know Joe Kelley from New York New Power? He ran a fan group, New York New Power. Anyways, he was one of the guests on the show. So Paisley Park requested a copy of the show. So back then it was like, maybe it was on cassette. Send it up to Paisley Park. I send it FedEx. I get an email from Prince. It didn't say, "Hey, I'm Prince," but it was from an AOL Prince thing. I noticed on one of the songs, "Erotic City," the pitch was a little out of sync, and I thought, "Wow." I didn't think it was out of sync. I asked Derek Kelly. He goes, "I didn't think it was out of sync," but
Wow.
you can't
Wow.
argue with the guy who created the music. So
Wow. So
yeah,
wow, that's crazy. So that was him talking about the pitch of his song.
yeah.
Wow.
We sent it up there. So
That's crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, he'd have the go-betweens to get in contact with you, but
Right.
so.
Right.
But anyways, getting back to, I wanted to ask you about the LA shows at the Forum. Did you go to any of those 21 nights?
Yes, I went to 2 of them in
How were
2011.
they?
Shows. They were great.
Mhm.
That was actually the second show I went. That was the last time I ever saw them.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Last time I ever saw them. They were good. He did a lot of standard stuff, but just such a great showman. Period. It didn't really matter. He was a living legend. So just to see him do his thing, and I think the first show at the 21 Nights, the first show he did like 5 encores that night. He came
Wow.
out 5 times after the show was supposed to have ended. He came out 5 more times or 4 more times, and just stuff like that. Yeah, he was one of a kind. He that was a true loss when he left
Yeah.
the earth. True, very
Yeah.
true loss to the
I don't,
music
I, I
industry.
don't, yeah, I don't think most of us are over it completely because he had such a big influence on us.
Yeah, yeah. As far as me, I mean, if you go to my YouTube channel,
Mhm.
Funkclone, um, last year I did a special video collage about 11 minutes long of Prince, and it's called Way Back Home / Father's Song. So I basically took video clips of his from his music videos, and put a collage together. Underneath is playing Way Back Home from his Artificial Intelligence album, and then
Right.
it goes into Father's Song. And to me, it came out very good and very touching, and people seem to really be digging it. So
Yeah,
that's my
we'll
little
have
tribute
the
to Prince.
we'll have the link in the description here. You can click on all of Paul Altamirano's outlets, and yeah, was did you meet Prince?
No, I never actually met him, but it was funny. One night he was here at Glam Slam when he had one here in L.A. We were there, me and a group of people, and we were there one night, and we were about to leave. Actually, it was like 2 in the morning. All of a sudden, one of the people from my group, she comes running in. She goes, "Prince is here! Prince is here! Prince is here!" And we look outside on the street, and there's a limo parked out there on the street. And then I look over to the VIP area, and there he is. He's like looking over the dance floor and sitting there sipping his drink. So, of course, we tried to get as close as we could, and then I just kind of waved at him,
Uh-huh.
and he just looked over and just kind of gave me a smirky smile, and then just stared at me and then looked away. That's the closest I ever got to meet
All right.
him.
Hey, who knows? He might have known you were the guy behind Funkclone Radio. You never know. Pri- he had ways of knowing about a lot of stuff. So
Yeah, it's weird.
yeah,
But I've met people that did that did know him and played with him. I've met Andre Simone. I've met Jesse
right.
Johnson. I've met Jerome, and those are some of the people that when they see me, they're like, "Hey, Paul, how you doing? This and this and this." So I didn't meet him directly, but I've met a lot of the people that worked with him. So I'm just wow, I'm honored. Period.
Yeah, you've got some great photos on your various social media sites. You mentioned some of them. Also, I saw you were Jill Jones and Jimmy Jam. It was the Purple Rain Forum, right? Like you
The
were out
which
in
one?
L.A. Or they didn't they give an honor to Prince out in L.A.? You were with
Oh,
a
they
bunch.
did a screening. They screened Purple Rain back in this past May,
Okay,
2024. They did a special screening of the Purple Rain movie Downtown LA for the 40th anniversary, and Jerome was there, Andre
mhm,
Simone was there, Jimmy Jam, Jill Jones, David Z was there. So yeah,
Oh,
they did like a Q&A after the movie was over, which you can find on YouTube. It was really a really good interview that they did, or a Q&A. And
mhm.
then then after that I was talking with them and just hanging out, and yeah, they're nice people.
Yeah,
You know.
well, Andre, he was the first one I ever interviewed in radio. 82, 83, we did an interview, phone interview. So that was a while
Wow.
back. Yeah. And Jill's been to
Yeah.
the studio. She performed in the studio live. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
back when she was on the East Coast. Yeah. So
Yeah. Right.
yeah, we
Right.
got mutual friends.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I'm good
Well,
friends with going to the other spectrum of funk. I'm good friends with a lot of the guys from Rick James's Stone City Band, so I keep
oh,
in touch with them. So
you know
yeah.
Bryce Miles?
Who?
Bryce Miles, he joined up with them recently. He plays keyboards. He played with SOS Band in the time.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he's out
saw
your
him.
way.
Yes, Bryce. Yes, I saw him play. I was at Paisley Park 2 years ago. I was at the Celebration 2022, and
Right.
he was up there playing keyboards with Matt Fink and Brown Mark that night.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
right. He kept on telling me we got the Sons of
I think he was
Paisley
like
getting
doing the
back together.
Maserati thing there for a while too.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And I saw him there that night. And I've never met him in person, but he knows about Funkclone Radio, and I think we've chatted like on Messenger and things like that. But I've never met him in person.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. I'm sure you guys cross
Right.
paths. Yeah.
But I keep in touch with Nate Hughes. He was Rick James' percussion player. We talk all the time.
Mhm.
And I know Oscar Alston, his bass player, and I know Lanny's Hughes, the drummer. So yeah, we keep in touch all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, when I see the band, we all know the stories about how Rick James and, the crazy times like that, but, they're still going strong with the music.
Yeah, I know they've had a
Yeah.
couple bumps in the road,
Mhm. Yeah.
but they're trying to keep it going as best as they can. I know they put in a new lead singer recently. About last year, they put in a new lead singer, and a young guy, and he's got a lot of energy, and he seems to be really good. And I'm just glad they're keeping it going. Him and Tina Marie's music, because Tina Marie was associated with Rick on a lot of things too.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah. You know, it's like all these artists, pass away prematurely, but the industry's so tough, I guess, on people. So
yeah, it's a shame.
yeah. Yeah.
Music. These are the people that bring us joy and happiness, but behind the
Right.
scenes, we don't know what they're going through. That's
Right. Right.
yeah.
Exactly. Let me ask you a question of the bands that you've played on your show and never got a chance to see or still want to go to see if they're still around. Give me a few of the people off the top of your head that you definitely pay a few extra dollars to see or would have in the past.
I'd like to have seen Parliament Funkadelic. I've seen them a bunch of times now,
Yeah.
and they're good. But I would like to have seen the classic Mothership landing stuff in the
Right.
'70s. I think I'd pay money to see that for sure. Um, I wouldn't. I'd like to see the. I've seen the time a bunch of times, but I'd like to
Mhm.
see the time back when they were young and just coming out. 81, 82, 83. I'd like to have seen them back at that time. I'd pay money to see that.
Right.
Um, Probably maybe Earth, Wind and Fire back from those days. I've seen Earth, Wind and Fire once,
Mhm.
but like 20 years ago. But I'd like to have seen the Maurice White whole thing, the whole show back from the '70s. I'd pay money to see that. Yeah,
Yeah. You got some
those
great taste in music. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
I did see the time on the 1999 tour. That was the first Prince show I saw. So
Wow.
that was great. Yeah. They're playing
Yeah,
in Connecticut tonight as we record
are they?
with Cool
Oh,
and the
cool.
Gang. Yeah. When we used to live in Connecticut, we were at all the shows, but
Okay.
we moved out. Yeah. So I'll tell you a
Yeah.
quick funny story. Oh no, go ahead. I cut you off.
No, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I
Go
was
ahead.
talking to Tori Ruffin on the phone, and I said, "Oh, we moved out of Connecticut," and he didn't know that. And I said, "Well, we're up just outside of Saratoga Springs, and he said, "Are you close to Albany?" I said, "Yeah, 20 minutes south." He goes, "Oh, we were there last weekend."
Yeah.
Missed opportunity to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let me mention another band, Isley
Okay.
Brothers. I'd like to see the Isley Brothers back in those days when Chris
Yeah.
and Ernie, Marvin, and all that. I'd like to have seen that back for those days. I'd pay money to see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because to me,
Yeah. You.
to me, it's about. I mean, I'm not saying the Isley Brothers, 3+3 was great, but to me, my favorite parts is Ronald, Ernie, and Chris. That those to me are the elements right there. Those three guys, what they did, singing, guitar, arrangements. Wow, Isley Brothers.
Well, I know as a DJ, I've seen pictures you use, on the turntables, mixing it up. Do you have a big vinyl collection?
Yeah, it's big enough.
Mhm.
It's not as big as other people's, but it's. I have a few pieces. They're on the other side of the room here.
Right. Right.
I've been collecting since I was 11 years old.
Wow.
So I'm 56 now. So it's just been I've never gotten rid of anything. So I've kept all my pieces of vinyl that I've collected over all these years from the 80s, 90s up to now. Uh,
Do you, yeah. Do you keep up with the Prince releases?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I have all the 39 albums. You
Right.
know,
Wow.
um, plus a lot of the 12-inch single. Well, not all the 12-inch singles, but most of them. And
Mhm.
believe it or not, I got some bootlegs from back in the days.
Yeah.
Back
Yeah. I
I
remember the
got
days of people trading them, stuff like that.
right,
Yeah.
right. It's just nice that they're now officially releasing the songs now in good quality, because a lot of these songs
Yeah.
that on the Sign of the Times Deluxe in 1999 and Diamonds and Pearls and all that, I've heard a lot of these songs, but they were not the best quality back from the bootleg days. But now they're being released in the best quality, so it's nice. It's nice to hear them now, 30 years later. You're like, oh yeah, now yeah, it sounds
Right.
really good. You know.
Yeah, I was reading one of Dwayne Tudor's books, and I think he had a quote from Prince that said, "I was a terrible mixer on everything, or engineer when he got his hands on it." So he admittedly said things could be improved on the mix.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Well, they're doing a good job. The estate, whoever's handling it, I think they're doing a good job. Uh, yeah. How much? I don't see how they could do things different. I think my only complaint would be if they could just release them a little bit faster. I guess, but
yeah.
you know,
Prince fans
beggars can't be
we've been like that forever, right?
right.
You had the
Right.
new album in your hand a week later, you're saying, "When's the next release coming out?"
Yeah. Yeah, man.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the way it was. Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So let's talk about another big endeavor you did. The funk music documentary, which is on YouTube as well, on your YouTube channel. Um,
Mhm.
what was the genesis of that, and how hard it was to put together? And tell us about the process of it. It's a huge undertaking, I'm sure.
It was. Um, I just wish I had better equipment. I wish I had a better camera, but besides that, it's about the content, and I'm just glad that I was able to gather all those interviews together.
Mhm.
It took me as a whole from the first interview to the final edit. It was about a year and 4 months for me to
Wow.
do.
Yeah.
Um, and it was wow. It was crazy. It was just a thing where I just carried that camera around, and I would be at shows or I'd be whatever, and a lot of it was just like I would meet I would get backstage or I would see these artists, and hey, can I get an interview with you? And I'd just whip out that camera just right there and then, and just give them those three questions, and everybody got the same three questions, and the three questions were, what is funk music to you?
Mhm.
Uh, where did it go, or what happened to it? And how can we preserve it, bring it back, or how can we preserve it for the future? Everybody got those same three questions, and everybody answered the way they answered. And it was just it's just crazy how the different the range on how the answers varied. You know what I mean? I mean, you had people like who was like there were some people that were really calculating on how they answered and just very they were very you know their answers were like really spread out to people like Lonnie Marshall from Weapon of Choice, where his stuff was just kind of like, well, he was just kind of out there. So I was just glad to get the different ranges of different how people answered them. People how the artists were just all different, and that was very interesting. And um, I don't know, to me it was really rewarding to be able to finish it. Um, there were times where I was just like, I don't know if this thing's going to be worth anything or it's going to do anything, but I finished it and I put it out there, and 11 years later, that 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 documentary grew legs and grew wings, and it's got a lot of hits. So that's really
Yeah.
surprising. So
That means the
yeah.
pressure is on to formulate the follow-up documentary with the new
Uh,
musicians and and a new camera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I do a second one, it's obviously gonna be done differently. And now that with the connections I've made since then, I think it would be a lot easier, and it'll probably be something more along the lines like how we're doing this right now. It would be something
Right.
like this. It'd be
It'd be
like on a
easier for you. Yeah. Yeah, you
yeah,
could definitely do that. Yeah.
yeah. I filmed all that in 2012, 2013. So I don't know if podcasting was really a thing yet at that time. And I was just honored just to be there in person, in the flesh, and just get them on camera
Right.
right there and then. Most of them. So,
Did
yeah,
you
thank
find
God for that.
musicians were a little reticent about doing it, like they didn't want to get involved?
A couple of them were, but I think once I kind of um, explained to them what I was trying to do, they just kind of said, "All right, let's do it," and they
Right.
just went with it, and that was that. You know. So um, overall, most of them were just like, "Yeah, sure, I'll sit down, I'll answer your questions really fast." So they did it.
Cool. And our one of our mutual friends who passed away, Julian Stefoni, makes an appearance in there as well.
Julian was he was the first one I filmed. He was the
Oh,
first one
okay.
that started off the whole thing. Yeah, I got
Right.
him at a club. He was doing his Prince tribute. It was here in L.A. And I just kind of said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna finally do it." He goes, "What are you gonna do?" I said, "Remember that documentary I was thinking about doing?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm gonna start tonight," and so he was the first one.
Right. Wow.
There's been a
Jara
few
Harris
people that.
too, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Jara kind of always knew I wanted to do something like that, and so when I brought it up to him, he's like, "All right, man, yeah, you're finally gonna do it. Let's do it." So that was cool, you know.
Yeah, it seems like the because I've been following online Slapback and Jara Harris, and he's your buddy out there. As far
Hmm.
as their concerts, I've seen him at a few venues, Skyloft and some other Mozambique, maybe
Hmm.
at another
Yeah,
place.
they're
Yeah.
all in South Orange County, yeah,
What's
L.A.
what's the live music scene out your way?
Uh, lately, it's I don't know. It's kind of like it's not what it used to be. Um, There used to be a lot more venues that used to be open, and a lot of them have closed. I don't know if it was from the pandemic or just because uh, the cities or whatever decided to change their minds about certain things. But there used to be a lot more venues that have just closed up and they're not here anymore. And the ones that are open, I don't know. It's just it's a different vibe than it was even 10, 12 years ago. Um, so I mean, you have places in LA, but as far as live acts, it just seems like a lot of that's just kind of going to the wayside. And if you want to see a live act, you got to pay a lot of money to see them. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the shame of it, you know. Um, Again, me and you come from those days where you didn't have to pay a lot of money to see a good show, you know.
No.
Now you have
No.
like these big festivals,
Mhm.
where you pay a lot of money and you got like 100 acts on this bill, and it's like, well, I mean, how long is each act gonna how much time is each act getting? Like 10 minutes? You're only gonna do
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 songs and then they're done. I'm not a big fan of stuff like that. I want to see a band stretch out and do like a half hour, 45 minutes, an hour.
Right.
I come from those days, and that's a lot of that is kind of like few and far between now. Unfortunately, it seems.
I was watching Raphael Saadiq's appearance at the Essence Festival. It's online. I don't know if you've seen that. And I guess it actually starts with a clock, digital clock behind on the screen when he starts his set, the festival. And like 20 minutes into it, he goes, I got to speed this up because they only gave me 30 minutes and I've done 35 years of music, you know? So
Uh,
he kind of, he told them how he felt, but it was true. Yeah. They shortchanged and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That to me is just like, come on. I
Right.
saw a really good show of his 5 years ago when the Jimmy Lee album came out. The
Oh,
day that
okay.
it was released, he did a show here in LA
Mhm.
on the day it was released, and he actually did the album front first song to last song. He did the whole album in order, and it was just a one deal, one show like that. And that was one of the best shows I've ever seen. Great show.
Yeah.
Great
His,
show.
his guitarist, Rob Bacon, that guy's phenomenal too.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was there that night. He
Yeah.
was there, and that was one of those unforgettable shows. I hopefully they filmed it and maybe they'll release it or something or put it on YouTube. They should because it was a it was a memorial. It was very that show was just it was heartfelt.
Right.
Great show. Great show.
So are you a Las Vegas Raiders fan?
I don't have a team, man.
Oh, okay. Because I
I
saw a
just
picture of the stadium you had when you were out in Vegas. I figured maybe you migrated
oh
to follow
no,
the Raiders.
I just like taking pictures,
Oh, okay.
that kind of look cool, No, I just I've never even been inside that place. I just saw the outside and it just looked intriguing to me, and I took a picture when I was out there. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't really have a fan.
Yeah, I've only been
I
out.
guess I'm right. I guess this year I'm rooting for the Lions because they've been the underdogs for so many years. I'm rooting for the
Yeah,
Lions,
that would be a
Detroit
great
Lions.
story. Yeah. Of course, Minneapolis, they're
Yeah,
maybe they'll run
Vikings
into
are
each
good.
other. I don't know how. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Vikings are
so when
good.
you went out to Vegas, it's like a 3-hour drive from your way, right?
About
If you drive.
3.5, 4 hours, 3.5 to
Okay.
4 hours. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. When I was out there, uh, one of the nights it was a private party, but two hotels from where we were staying, St. Paul and the Minneapolis All-Stars were playing.
Oh.
So so I didn't bug anybody to let us in, but I saw them in the guide. I said, "Wow, go figure."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vegas has gotten crazy. That place has just changed so much.
Yeah,
Even the last
where did you stay? Wind up staying?
when I went out there recently,
Yeah.
uh, I think we stayed at Caesar's Palace. We
Okay.
were out
Yeah,
there
we were
last year. Me and my wife were out there for our anniversary. We were
oh,
out there last. Yeah,
congratulations.
we actually saw Seal play. We saw him at the Venetian. That was a
Oh,
great
okay.
show. That was a real good show.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, that was yeah. Seal was good.
Yeah, we were at the Horseshoe. I was in for a tournament for horse players championship.
Really?
And yeah, that's when I'll be back doing the same thing in March. So
Oh, okay.
next door it has the Paris. Is it the Paris, right?
Paris is on the Strip. Where
Yeah,
did you
we were
say?
the one
Where
connected
did
to it.
you say?
It was the Horseshoe Casino.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah. Okay.
it
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Yeah.
different name before. It's the one who
Right.
years ago had a fire there.
Oh yeah, it was Bally's and then it was
Yeah,
MGM years ago, and then
right.
it turned into Bally's, and now it's something else. That's right.
Yeah, the
It's right.
Horseshoe.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it was. I liked it, but it was like I haven't been back since. I'll be back in March, but it was. I went to CVS to get a razor just to shave, and everything's locked up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
but I guess
crazy.
yeah. So I guess it's like that around a lot of places.
Well, come to LA.
Yeah.
It's
So yeah,
it's
you
pretty
know all
yeah.
about yeah. Right.
Yeah,
So tell us about some upcoming plans for Funkclone Radio. You got any stuff in the can you want to maybe preview, or
uh,
you on the fly?
just I'm just gonna keep putting out new shows. But I've been wanting to do. I want to put together a show on funk ballads, like some slow music type deal.
Oh, okay.
I think that's going to be my next one of my next new shows will be like a funk ballads, because
Okay.
like Isley Brothers, Ohio Players, Ready for the World, Prince, all these bands have such great slow songs that are funky.
Right.
That I think I need to put a show together on all that. I think that would be really cool. So I think that's my next plan for a new show.
Yeah, I like how
Yep.
you have themes to a lot of your shows, years, or you did Ready for the World, Jesse Johnson.
Hmm.
So that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
let's touch on Wrap Up, the
The
second
wrap up
show.
show. Yeah, it's another channel on Mixcloud, and it's all rap. It's all just
Mhm.
rap and hip hop. And I'm just kind of going through the years as well, like I did with Funkclone Radio. I'm just going through each year. And John Dixon from Digital Soul, his
Mhm.
brother, who he's a rapper, and he goes by the
Okay.
name Half Breed, and
Okay.
that's HAPH Breed. He's the one that helps me out with the wrap up show channel. And so he's a part of that. And Sean Bivens, who I mentioned earlier, who's got a band called the Blackstone Funk Revival, he's
Mhm.
also got a rap act called Shawnee Be Fresh. So the two of them are helping me with the wrap up channel. So again, it's all just straight rap and hip hop. So
Who'd you
that's
grow up? Who'd you grow up really digging in the hip hop world?
uh the first group that I got into was Run DMC, and then I got into like UTFO and LL Cool J and
Right.
Beastie Boys and Houdini, and then Public Enemy came out, and then Eric B. and Rakim came out. So there's a lot of rap groups that I've dug. NWA, I saw them when they were just starting out in
Mhm.
'87. I saw them at the very beginning of their beginnings. Um, '86, the infamous Long Beach riot. I don't know if you've ever heard about that. The
I've
Run
heard it. I
DMC
don't know
Raising
those
Hell tour.
particular details. No. So,
It,
tell us about it.
at the Long Beach Arena, it was a Raising Hell tour for Run DMC, and this was the summer of '86. And to make a long story short, it turned into a gang riot where the gangs got into whatever, and it turned violent. And I
Mhm.
was there.
Whoa.
I was just fresh out of high school. I was 17 years old and had never seen anything like that ever in my life, and hasn't seen anything like that since. And yeah, I happened to be there that night. I was a witness to that. And that's like
How'd
rap hip.
you how'd you stay unscathed?
I don't know how we did. I was there with two friends, and they were still in high school, and I had just graduated high school. I don't know how we got out of there, but we all ran out of there at one point. It got to a point where we all had to run out of there. Run DMC didn't even get to perform. Um, we all had to get out. We all had to run out of there. How we got out, how we ran out, I can't remember, but um, we got out of there. It's crazy. It's a crazy time right
You
there.
you brought up Run DMC. I, I was a freshman in high school at NYU, and little did I know, I found out this years later, and I didn't know him when Rick Rubin was living in our dorm, the same
Oh,
dorm I was living in, and he was setting up, developing Def Jam Records. LL Cool J and Run DMC were coming to his dorm room. There's a documentary online. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's the Weinstein hall. That was the dorm I lived in.
yeah. I think I
He
saw
was in,
something about it.
yeah, he had the thing, his roommate walked in or something, and there was his bed, the roommate's bed was gone, and Rick
Oh
had his
yeah, yeah.
turntables. Yeah.
Studies in the
So
library. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly,
That's
that's
what
the
he told
one.
him, right?
I mean, I
Yeah,
wish
yeah,
I knew he was in there, he would have
yeah.
been a good guy to keep contact with.
So you never met him?
I've never met him. No, I didn't know he was living in our dormitory and starting Def Jam Records back then, and having
That's
LL as a
crazy.
kid coming in. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was a wild time too. I was visiting my girlfriend at the time back in Connecticut. I came back that weekend, 2 people got shot and murdered in our dorm. There was
Oh,
there was like an Asian dance that was downstairs, and they came in and got into it, and 2 people got shot, and they wound up in the laundry room. Yeah. So
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
we don't want to go back to those times, though, the 80s, and shoot them up, bang, bang.
The music was good, but it was a crazy time.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
I mean, you've seen a lot on the West Coast, and the East Coast had its share of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I got to thank you. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, the wrap up show. It's been up since 2022. I put that up, so it's been about 2.5 years. So that one it's been struggling a little bit more, but I'm just trying to get that one out there more, and so people are more aware of it. That's all. But that one's coming out good too. I think those shows are coming out really good. So
And,
yeah,
and you
I'm
still got
happy
the
with
passion. You still got all the music. No shortage of music in your collection.
No, man. And and I'm the guy that I keep everything. Like that's my CD collection back here.
Right.
I keep it all. I don't get rid of this stuff. It's like to me that it's tangible to keep all the records and the CDs. To me, it's like it's like your badge that you
Right.
wear versus oh well I just stream all this stuff. It's like well it just doesn't seem real. To me,
Right.
this is real. Yeah.
Who's going to get all the collection when we're all long gone? Who's going to get it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe my wife.
Yeah. There you go. Hey, Merry Christmas and a happy holidays to you and your wife. Yeah.
Same to you, man. Same to you and yours.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Been going good so far. Yeah. So, hey, I got to thank you, Paul. We've known each other for years, decades, but really appreciate, you supporting our show, and we love what you do on the Mixcloud Funkclone Radio side. And you got to come by. We got to have you come by more often.
I'd love to go out there. I would love that.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can make that happen, man, for real. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Or when I go to the West Coast, I got to tiptoe into California. Now I know somebody there.
Come on down, man. Come on down.
Right.
There's a lot of us we'll all hang out, man. Hang out.
Right.
You and Jara and everybody.
That's right. Jara Harris. What's up, Jara? He's
Yeah,
coming out with
let's
some
do
new
that.
stuff. Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right, Paul. Thanks. You enjoy New Year's, and 2025 is going to be a great year for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joe. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Okay.